Welcome to the I Am the Worst Parent Ever podcast with Nicole Merritt and Dr. Robert Zeitlin.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Robert. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, Nicole, where's your phone?
Nearby.
How nearby?
I can see it.
Is that how it usually is?
No. I can't tell you how often I lose my phone. And I just did it yesterday for the period of like 40 minutes. And it was right when I had to leave to go get my daughter from pickup, of course. And I'm just racing, like I can't find it. And I'm like, did you take my phone? Did you hide my phone to my kids? Like I had checked everywhere. Finally found it. We had gone out on the back porch for like 5 minutes and I left it outside. But I'm telling you, that kind of stuff, the phone, me leaving my van door open, oh my goodness, my husband is so tired of me doing that. That kind of stuff happens to me all the time. And I don't know, I like to blame, mom brain, pregnancy brain, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if I'm just forever destined to be this forgetful. Do you ever do stuff like that?
I do. I think it's all of the things brain. And I think it's worse, obviously, when you have three moving objects in front of you.
Right.
My objects are moving slower and out of my perspective. My kids are more grown, but like I have an all the things thing going on, and I never have the stuff that I need where I need it, but it's not like losing my phone or misplacing my ATM card or, where are my keys? Like that stuff, that was something that happened a lot more when I had younger kids.
Right. And yeah, the keys. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, and then my husband will be like, it's in the bottom of your purse. And I'm like, no, it's not. I checked my purse. Well, it was in the bottom of my purse. Between the keys, the cell phone, and the van door, you'd think like Ashton Kutcher was punking me. Like, it's like, I swear I pushed the button, but apparently I didn't. Like, and it happens all the time. And I don't know, like it's all, always this one's, crying, this one's running out of the car. And like, I guess I just, in the mix of everything, I just forget things. But I'm not sure I know how to slow down and be more present, or if that's even realistic with three under the age of 6.
Yeah, I don't know how slow you would have to get to not have your attention pulled away at that moment that your kid falls. And it's like the van door is less important in that moment than, picking your kid up and giving them a hug. And there's so many pulls on your attention. I mean, I just think being present, that idea of like, you should be a Buddhist monk and just like float above your body and see the van door and know where your phone is all the time, is one of those things I think we hold ourselves to, especially as parents, but just as people in today's busy world, that's maybe a little unreasonable. Right.
And I agree. And I appreciate the excuse you're giving me, if we would call it that.
It was an excuse?
But I also think that, me just having more set things in place. Like, okay, I have a phone basket, and my phone, when I'm not using it, it goes in the phone basket. Or, my daughter is always second in command to push the button if mommy didn't push the button. Or like, if I set up a little more like checks and balances, we would probably all benefit, because what ends up happening in those moments is I go from like 0, like happy mommy, to like angry, 0 to 60 angry mommy, and I'm frustrated and grumbling until I find it. And then I'm like slowly getting back down to 20, and I didn't need to cause all that stress for everybody,
Yeah, I think sometimes the phone gets lost just to like keep you somewhere for a while. maybe our unconscious misplaces the phone. I feel like there are times where I lost things. That's different. But I feel like there are times where I lost things that I'm like, it's because I was super stressed, and I didn't lose them on purpose, but a part of my brain said, leave this here, you'll find it. Like make it a little hard. It came at the worst time.
Right.
So I had to figure out that why would it happen then and not at some random time where I was totally calm and I had like an hour to look for it, you know?
Right.
But I think this idea of like having an excuse or I love the idea of like putting your daughter second in command. Like I have a friend who said her best training for parenting was waitressing, because she's taught her kids now, you never go upstairs or downstairs without something in your hand.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
like, how do we employ this army of flying monkeys that we have to like help us with this as opposed to make it worse?
Right. But see, so I waitressed for like 3 weeks in college, and I was the worst. Like I would walk away. They would ask me for the ketchup and I would walk away and forget the ketchup. Like, so maybe that explains. I've just always been bad at this kind of stuff, at remembering things.
You just added a new saying to my list. I had Drop the Ball, which I think is a great book I recommend to parents. There's another psychologist who said to parents, never give away the ice cream, which I think is really great advice. It's not like you always want, to reward and punish your kids and treat them like trained seals, but if you are going for ice cream, like make it for a reason, right? But now you added one more, which is forget the ketchup, which I actually think is actually a mindfulness kind of thing. Like maybe forgetting the ketchup is what you should be doing at that moment, not like remembering all the things and being the perfect waitress. You figured out that you weren't the perfect waitress. That wasn't for you.
Right. Had I not forgotten the ketchup and had the customers not told me how bad I was, maybe I would not be here today, right? So looking at the bigger picture of things is definitely important. Now, the van door is something I cannot explain. And it's something I need to do better, because even my husband will say, I think one time I actually like left it open overnight. And he's like, you are so lucky that like an armadillo or like a cat didn't like create this home in there. But I think if I slow my roll as much as I can, and also put in that, like the checks and balances, like we talked about, I think that, we can improve on these small kind of, boo-boos that we're making.
Yeah, I think forgetfulness too. I think there's another version of that too that I'll bring in. It's not so much mom brain, but it's like, it happens. Like I'm responsible for myself. I drive from here to there. I find places. I do fine, right? But my wife gets in the car and all of a sudden I'm like on the wrong road, taking the wrong highway to the wrong place. And she's like, how do you ever get around without me? Like, how do you, like, something happens, not that my brain gets hijacked, but like part of me like shifts over responsibility and it's like, she's going to tell me to turn or do this or do that. And, not that she's a backseat driver, but like, I'm kind of like, we're in this together now. So I don't need to like be responsible for all this stuff. But with mom brain, I think being responsible for all the things and being responsible for 3 other little brains that aren't going to remember stuff, like that's an impossible task.
Right. Did you notice that when your kids were little, did your wife like have that kind of forgetful tendency like I do now?
I think moms deal with it different ways.
Yeah.
I think she was determined to make sure that they got out of the house with everything that they needed. But she'll also say there's a difference between 2 kids and 3 kids. Her line was, I have 2 hands, and if I have 2 kids, then if I had a third one, the third one's out in the street.
Right. I mean, I definitely like my oldest is a girl, so she has a certain kind of energy, and maybe it's not all girls, maybe it's her, but she's very just easygoing, and she enjoys play, but it's talking, and it's not running into walls like some boys, not all boys, but like, the more physical, that was my second child. So to go from one more kind of calmer, even keel personality to a more excitable and excited personality, I would say that it took me a good 9 months after the birth of my second child to feel like I could like get out of the house and like feel confident in what I was doing. And then with number 3, it's like everybody says, like the cliche, how you just kind of, they just kind of hop on board. Like, I think it was the day after I gave birth, I was at like my daughter's dance recital with the baby. And you know what I mean? Like, so, am I more forgetful now that I have 3? And do I make these careless mistakes? Yes. But I don't know. I kind of feel more confident. Maybe I shouldn't because I am doing all these things, but I don't know. I feel it's exciting. It's kind of invigorating to try to raise 3 munchkins and do all this other stuff.
Right. And you also said before, and it sounds like you don't need to raise your husband or train your husband. He takes responsibility for stuff himself. But I'm thinking about moms who are sort of half taking care of their spouse, taking care of 3 munchkins, and taking care of themselves. And it's like, there's a breaking point, at some point it's just not going to happen. So I think it's awesome to throw yourself into that venture and also feel like, look at it from the other side. Like you said, like, how much did you get done yesterday? How much did you get done? Even, getting all this stuff to school, getting the kids there on time. Like, I know moms that just like, despite as much a hassle as it is in the morning and the tears and the fighting and the crying, if they're on time and they get their kids to daycare and they get to work on time, like, that's a win. They put a flag in that. That's, at the end of the day, that's something to feel proud of, and that they were able to accomplish that.
And I guess I need to put more flags in my small wins. Like, I do think, like, yesterday I was like, I think, oh, well, I didn't get a lot done, or I didn't do this, or I didn't get to that. But if you had me sit down with a piece of paper and everything got a little check, like everybody ate, everybody went potty, everybody did that, I would have so much in the done column compared to the undone. Even if, but I guess I get overwhelmed because, like, laundry is a big undone, doesn't that count for more than one check? Or, like, I feel like some of that stuff overwhelms me. But when I put it in perspective, like you said, I guess, yeah, I did get a lot done, more than I'm willing to give myself credit for.
Yeah, I know a mom who doesn't, who has time for this, to make a list at the end of the day of everything that got done, but who does sit down at the end of the day and talk about 3 things that happened, 3 positive things that happened, just to write them down, just to get in a frame of mind, actually kind of feel good falling asleep. And some people will keep track of that so they can sort of see their progress over. Some people just throw it out. It's just a matter of like thinking it through and writing it down. But I think that exercise, some people do like a gratitude exercise or pray or do whatever at night. But I think that exercise of actually recognizing you did some things during the day, as opposed to just remembering those 2 things you didn't get to, I think that's a really great boost. Put a flag in it, small wins, whatever you want to call it, exercise.
Yeah, and why not do it with the whole family? And I'm sure that many of you already do this. And when I wrote about it, I wrote about like family quarterly check-ins, but really every night at dinner, why not, each of you list 3 things you're proud of that you did today, specific things, that you did, and one area where you're not so proud of yourself that you're hoping to improve the next day. That seems like a really good idea for me to start with my family, and for anybody too. Yeah,
I like that. There's another exercise that I've used that's kind of like that, a little bit like that Thanksgiving exercise where you go around the table and you say something you're thankful for, but we only do that once a year. But this is actually like an exercise. We talked about mindfulness before. This is a little bit of a mindfulness exercise, and it's called brag, desire, gratitude. So you actually brag about something that happened, which puts your mind in the past. Desire, something you want, that puts your mind in the future. And then gratitude is something you're thankful for right now.
Should we go ahead and do it?
Sure.
Improv one?
Sure.
All right. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Why don't you go first?
All right. So my first, I have to say a brag. So it's like a personal brag, something
something you're proud of. Yep.
I'm proud of the fact that all of my children are looked at as well behaved by their teachers. Like all of my 3 children give me positive reports on just how respectful, and well, my children listen and take direction, and I'm very proud of that.
Awesome.
Okay, now I have to do what?
I can go while you think of a desire, a future, something you want.
Okay, let's hear your brag.
So my brag is that my kids are doing great in college, and I'm really proud of the work ethic they put in or they're showing, and the results that they're getting out of it.
It's awesome. It's undoubtedly that they see you having it, and that's where they get it from. So
that's nice of you.
All right, let's see. A desire. It's one of those I think that everybody would say, but like I want them, my desire is for them to become the people that they want to be, that they, find their passion and find their happy. I feel like there's so many adults that are unhappy in their career and in their job, but you got to do it, right? Because you got to make money, you got to pay the mortgage. And I just hope that they can find something where they can still pay the mortgage, but also be happy. I really, really want that for them.
And my kids are actually closer to the idea of paying mortgage than yours, but I actually want something more intermediary for them. They're still at the point where they don't need to pay a mortgage. So I want them to find, my desire for them is to figure out the things that don't work for them, the things that you start to rule things out and figure out what doesn't excite them and what really, I don't want to work by myself, or I don't want to work for someone, or I want to start something, or, start to rule things out.
And that's so important because, as adults, if we didn't rule things out, like, me, I ruled out law school, after a big chunk of change for the first semester, but, to do it early, like you're hoping for them and desiring for them is so important because it sets them up to kind of find who they are and what they like and what they want at an earlier time than maybe some of us have. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's the last thing?
So brag, desire, gratitude, something you're grateful for right now.
Healthy children. I know it's cliche. I know that everybody says it. And yes, my daughter's under the weather. All my kids have had ear tubes and adenoids out. So we've gone through things, but in the scheme of things, they are healthy. And I'm very lucky about that.
That's awesome. Something I'm grateful for, something I feel very lucky about, and something I don't know we had any control over is our kids are really good friends. They get along, they like to hang out together. And it's really so exciting to see. And it adds so much energy to the family too, because here my wife and I have this strong relationship. They have this strong relationship. We also have good relationships with them. I couldn't be, I'm so grateful that that's worked out that way and just brought all this sort of like flow of energy and love in our family. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, I don't obviously, my kids, it's different at the age that they are, but with my siblings, I'm the youngest of three. So I totally get what you're saying. When we're all jiving, it just makes the holidays more jovial, and it's just, it's great for everybody.
That's awesome.
That was a fun exercise. Yeah, we got to do more things like that. And people can do that with their children. Like I might do that in the car ride home after school today. I mean, it's a great idea.
Yeah, totally. And we stuck to sort of brag, desire, and gratitude about your kids, but you can do it yourself too. As you go around the table, everyone can talk about, it's easier than talking about your day. And then it does have you time travel, and it kind of brings you back to the present. It's pretty cool.
Right. And so I think you just said that. I think, my initial jump was to talk about my kids, because I think a lot of women, moms, maybe men too, parents, you find it hard to talk about yourself. Like it feels uncomfortable for me to give you a brag, or it feels vulnerable to name my desire. And there's so much I'm grateful for. It's kind of hard to pick one. So sometimes it's easier to jump, but even if you just do it, with your spouse or to yourself, or you jot it down, like you said, in a journal or a notebook, it's important to do it about yourself too.
It is. Well, thanks, Nicole.
Thank you. Talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the I Am the Worst Parent Ever podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss an episode.